Across the globe, you can find animals that are potentially deadly. From the arid deserts to the remote jungles, nature has a way of shaping dangerous and deadly animals into existence. Whether that be through potent venom or sharp teeth and claws, the animal kingdom is nothing to mess around about. While these creatures might seem like the last thing you'd want to encounter, for me, they're often exactly what I'm looking for. My name is Jack, and I've spent my entire life traveling all over the globe to find the strangest and deadliest creatures alive. I'm willing to get in close where others wouldn't dare in order to uncover and share the truth about even our most dangerous and misunderstood wildlife. Today I'm headed to one of the most famous places on Earth for deadly animals, the fantastic land of Australia. While many places have their own host of deadly creatures, Australia has definitely made a name for itself with the sheer diversity of its deadly wildlife. Let's take a look at the top deadliest animals I encountered during my last adventure down under. Now, Australia is renowned all over the world for its deadly animals. Now, there are some dangerously venomous creatures as well as some gigantic animals here in Australia that can mess up not just your day, your week, your month, or your year, but can potentially even mess up your entire life. Now, that's not to say that we should fear these animals, but I've got a special treat for you today. So right now, we are going to take a look at the most dangerous animals that I encountered here on my trip to Australia. So without any further ado, let's get into it. We're going to start with the beautiful, the fantastic Sydney funnel web spider. Let's take a close look. The Sydney funnel web is arguably one of the most iconic and well-known spiders on Earth. Their potent venom and recognizable threat display makes these infamous arachnids one of the most iconic venomous animals on the continent. Although we didn't see any larger adults this trip, we were lucky enough to find a fair bit of smaller individuals, some of whom had a gnarly disposition. Now folks, take a look right here. This is easily one of the most iconic and well-known arachnids here in Australia. This is the infamous, the deadly venomous Sydney funnel web spider. Now these animals are known all around the world for their potent toxic venom that interacts somewhat heavily with the primate biology, meaning that folks, you and I are especially susceptible to the venomous bite of this spider. Where a dog or a cat might be able to ride a bite out, us, chimpanzees, other primates, could easily be killed by a spider even of this size. This is not the maximum size that these spiders can get. They can actually get much larger than this. But this is the largest one we've been able to find this whole trip, which is quite surprising because although this is a fairly good time of year, the larger ones seem to be nowhere to be found. But just take a look at the fantastic little threat display of this lovely spider. This animal's letting me know, hey, I'm dangerous, I'm venomous, don't mess with me because I could easily ruin your day. But check that beautiful spider out. So cool. These powerful arachnids are some of my favorite animals to see while down under, and I'll never pass up the opportunity to film one when I come across them. Although they are quite toxic, since the development of antivenom, no one has died from a bite. But these spiders aren't the only dangerously venomous animals in Australia. There's another group to keep a keen eye out for. Now, of course, Australia has no shortage of dangerously venomous animals. So now we are going to take a look at one of my personal favorite snakes that we encountered on this trip, and one of the most venomous snakes in the world, the beautiful and iconic tiger snake. Let's dive in and see just how dangerous these reptiles are. Oh, there's a snake there. I'm seeing bands, folks. Oh my gosh! Right here, right on the crawl. Look at this! Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful tiger snake. Oh my gosh! Gotta try and get this out of the way here. I want to be careful. This is a crazy dangerous species. He's perfectly kind of tucked into this little tree here, this little dead bush. Oh my gosh, folks. Now, this was easily one of my biggest snake targets for this trip. I did not find a tiger snake my last trip out to Australia. And from the looks of it, this has got to be the most beautiful tiger snake alive. Absolutely gorgeous. Let me see if I can kind of get it to crawl enough out of this little bush here. But look at that, folks. I mean, gorgeous, gorgeous orange, yellow right on the throat. That hood's starting to poke out. Let's see here. Oh, look at that. I want to be careful, folks. This is a super, super venomous elapid. Easily a snake that could land you in the hospital or worse, in a coffin 6 feet under. So I want to be calm, I want to be slow, I want to be methodical with my handling here. This is an animal, although it's a cool morning, it's nice and overcast like I said, this animal has explosive energy. Could easily get up to me if it really wanted to, but as you can see, it's just kind of trying to figure out what's going on. It's maybe moving away from a basking area that it found earlier, and as it's starting to warm up, maybe it's finding a place to seek some shelter. But look at that. It's insane. So these snakes are named tiger snakes after those lovely, lovely, lovely stripes, but generally they're a much duller kind of olive color with some of that kind of yellow poking through for the stripes there. But this one's a true orange and black. I mean, as tiger as you can get. Now, I am shaking here, folks. Not only am I stoked to find this, but I am locked in. I am keyed in because this animal could easily not just ruin my day, but it could ruin my trip and potentially could even ruin my life. But as you can see, this is not an animal that's just trying to get at me, not an animal that's trying to attack me in any way. But of course, they are equipped with a powerful, powerful venom that they, of course, can employ to protect themselves. The tiger snake was one of my biggest personal targets for this trip. Their beautiful banding and potent venom makes them especially captivating to me. So when we came across this vibrant small adult, I was floored. The tiger snake is an elapid, meaning it's related to things like cobras and coral snakes. Much like many of its cobra and coral snake cousins, it is equipped with a potent neurotoxin, one that could easily kill a human being. The venom enters the body and immediately affects the nervous system, causing an onset of paralysis. Generally, with large neurotoxic snake bites, you die from suffocation, as the paralysis causes your diaphragm, the muscle that forces air into and out of your lungs, to stop in its tracks. In some cases, you can lose consciousness within minutes and potentially even be dead within an hour should you be bitten. It's important to carry a snake bite kit with you in Australia to act quickly if a bite accidentally takes place. Sometimes quick thinking can be the difference between life and death in these forests. So we're gonna let this beautiful snake get on her way, and we're gonna get back out looking for even more fantastic and iconic Australian wildlife. So we're gonna let her get right to it, right back where we found her. There she goes. It's okay, you're free to go now. See that wonderful bluff? She's letting me know, hey, back off. I want to get back underneath this little thing here, probably. Too cool, folks. Although Australia's venomous snakes are certainly a force to be reckoned with, they aren't the only reptiles with a deadly reputation. Now, our next stop is a very special one. We went on a very, very spectacular journey all the way up to the Daintree River. Now this river flows through, quite literally, the most ancient rainforest known to man. And the creatures that reside there are just as spectacularly ancient. Our next stop takes us right into the belly of the beast, filming Australia's arguably most dangerous reptile, the saltwater crocodile. These are apex predators that call this fantastic river home, and it was a special mission to try and get close enough to these animals to get them on film. Let's take a look at the beautiful and iconic saltwater crocodile. The saltwater crocodile is one of the most iconic reptiles you can encounter in Australia. These powerful reptiles have inhabited the northern rivers and estuaries of this wild land for millions of years. Long before humans stepped foot on this beautiful country, crocodiles ruled. We took a boat out onto the Daintree River with the hopes of finding some of these massive reptiles, but we were worried after the area had received some historic flooding just weeks before our trip out. The riverbanks had been washed away, and many of the areas these crocs were hanging out in regularly were vastly changed or even destroyed. Finally, after a long trek up the river, we spotted a large croc tucked underneath an overhanging tree. This beautiful female here could be well over 30 years of age, and she could be the mother of countless younger crocs in this river. These reptiles spend their time basking and resting to save up energy and heat for hunting. And then, any mammal, bird, fish, or reptile that wanders too close can end up prey for these magnificent creatures. They are truly the kings of this river. So, folks, our next stop was easily one of my personal favorites. I had a special mission that I set forth for myself in this Australian adventure to get out into some ancient jungles to find truly a living dinosaur. The southern cassowary is well known for being the most dangerous, potentially deadly bird on Earth. These are true living dinosaurs, and I wanted to see if we could find one in its tropical rainforest habitat in far north Queensland. And guess what, folks? We did! So let's take a close look at what literally is sympatric, is parallel, is so close to a living dinosaur, I almost forgot what millennium I was filming in. Let's take a close look and get up close and personal with the deadliest bird on Earth, the southern cassowary. Let's check it out. Folks, so we have made it. Finally, after hours and hours and hours of hiking in this dense tropical rainforest here in Queensland, we have our target, a beautiful young cassowary. I want to make sure I'm paying attention though, because this is still a very dangerous animal. But you note the size of that crest. It's smaller than in the larger adults. This is literally like traveling back in time and filming like an oviraptor or velociraptor. The southern cassowary is truly the definition of a living dinosaur. The large, scaled feet, bizarre head crest, and those massive claws make these animals look like they lumbered straight out of a Jurassic Park movie. Hiking through dense jungles to find one of these birds was truly one of the most amazing and rewarding experiences of my life, and it's definitely something I will never forget. It's really as close as you can get to traveling back in time to film proper non-avian dinosaurs back in the Cretaceous. Luckily, these birds are frugivores, meaning they're feeding primarily on fruits and not Jack's World of Wildlife. They are critically important ecosystem engineers as they help to spread seeds far and wide with their dung. Without the cassowary, many fruiting trees would have difficulty spreading throughout their habitat, and some potentially could fade out of existence. It just goes to show that each ecosystem on Earth is a delicate balance of organisms working together to maintain the synergetic symphony of beneficial cooperation. Although these birds rarely have been documented being able to kill a human being, those talons are definitely able to cause some serious damage. The powerful legs of these birds can deliver a lethal kick to potential predators, and even human beings, so it's best to give them space and allow them to move through their environment unobstructed. Of course, I can't make myself any less interesting, so sometimes these dinosaurs like to come in for a closer look. Truly extraordinary.
Alright folks, well, I think I've had more than enough adventure today. This cassowary is headed right back to the area we found it, perhaps to settle back down for a nap that perhaps I rudely interrupted with this adventure, but oh my gosh. We literally have found a living dinosaur here today, folks. Here in one of the oldest rainforests on Earth, here in Queensland. This is fantastic, and this has been truly one of the milestones, one of the biggest adventures of my life.
My adventure in Australia brought me face to face with some of the most dangerous and iconic species on the continent, and I couldn't be happier. Although each of these animals is incredibly dangerous in their own right, they are far from being something to fear. It's easy when we see an animal with venom that could drop us in our tracks, or even a mouth that we could fit into, to respond in fear. After all, a bad run-in with any of these creatures on this list could potentially end your life, right? Well, folks, it's important to contextualize the existence of these animals and their lives. While all of these animals are potentially dangerous and deadly under certain circumstances, they have not developed these attributes as a way of harming us. These are simply the tools of survival these animals have developed over countless millennia. Each of these creatures is trying its best to survive in a competitive and dangerous world, and they need everything they have to do so. I hope I was able to provide you all with a little different perspective on these dangerous and deadly creatures today, and show you all how, despite being potentially life-threatening animals, they aren't the monsters you might have believed them to be. I hope you all enjoy getting a close look at some of the deadliest animals of Australia, and I hope to see you again next week with the next upload. But until then, my friends, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time.